What if I told you that the most famous exorcism in history wasn't a work of fiction, but a horrifying reality? Picture this: a young German woman, Anneliese Michel, caught in the grip of an unseen and malevolent force. This isn't your average horror tale. This is a chilling chronicle rooted in reality, a story that will make your blood run cold. So brace yourself. Prepare yourself as we delve into the chilling account of the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel. Scene script. Anneliese Michel was no different from any other young woman in the 1960s, until the unimaginable happened. Born into a devout Catholic family in Bavaria, Germany, Anneliese Michel was a quiet and obedient child. Her parents, Josef and Anna Michel, were deeply religious and instilled in their 4 children a strong sense of faith. Anneliese, the middle child, was especially committed to her religion, often attending Mass twice a week, a practice uncommon even among her fervent peers. But as Anneliese transitioned into her teenage years, her life took an ominous turn. She began to experience inexplicable convulsions. The once vibrant and cheerful girl became withdrawn and tormented by hallucinations. She was plagued by terrifying visions of demonic faces and heard voices telling her she was damned. Her parents, bewildered and scared, sought medical help. Anneliese underwent numerous neurological examinations and was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition which can cause seizures, loss of memory, and experiences of unusual sensations. But despite the medication she was prescribed, her symptoms only escalated. Her academic performance began to suffer. Anneliese, once a promising student with dreams of becoming a teacher, could no longer concentrate on her studies. She was frequently gripped by an intense aversion to religious objects, a symptom not typically associated with epilepsy. She exhibited strange behaviors like eating spiders and coal, and showed a superhuman strength during her convulsions, often breaking beds and wall fixtures. As her health spiraled out of control, her parents, desperate for answers, turned to the church. The local priests observed Anneliese, and what they saw defied all their understanding. They believed Anneliese was not suffering from a medical condition, but was instead possessed by evil spirits. But as her condition worsened, it was clear that science had no answers. It was then that a different, darker path was taken. As Anneliese descended further into her suffering, something sinister began to emerge. The once innocent and devout Anneliese began to change. It was as if a storm brewed within her, a tempest of terrifying proportions. She was no longer the gentle, pious girl they knew. Instead, she was taken over by an insatiable rage, a violent demeanor that frightened all who came in contact with her. Her behavior grew increasingly erratic and disturbing. She began to exhibit a strong aversion to religious symbols. Crosses, holy water, rosaries, the mere sight of them would send her into a fit of uncontrollable rage. Anneliese claimed she could see demonic visions, faces twisted in malevolence, voices whispering in languages she couldn't comprehend. It was a chilling sight, a young woman claimed by the abyss of possession. Her family, once skeptical, began to accept the unthinkable. They believed Anneliese was in the grip of something far darker than they could understand. Their faith led them to one conclusion: Anneliese was possessed by a demon, and the only way out was an exorcism. The decision to perform an exorcism was not taken lightly. It was a controversial and drastic measure, one that stirred up a whirlwind of debate. The church, the medical community, even the public, all had their opinions. Some called it a step back to the Dark Ages, others saw it as the only hope for Anneliese. The controversy raged, but for Anneliese's family there was no choice. They were desperate to save their daughter from the abyss that consumed her. But the path they chose was fraught with uncertainty. Exorcisms were rare, misunderstood, and often feared. They were stepping into uncharted territory, armed with nothing but their faith and a desperate hope that they could save Anneliese. Little did they know, the worst was yet to come. In the grip of what was believed to be demonic possession, Anneliese Michel underwent 67 exorcisms over 10 months. The young German woman's ordeal is a chilling tale of faith, fear, and the limits of the human spirit. Let's delve deeper into this unsettling chapter of Anneliese's life. The process of exorcism is a complex one, steeped in ancient rites and rituals. For Anneliese, it was an intensely grueling experience, led by 2 priests, Father Arnold Renz and Pastor Ernst Alt. They were convinced that Anneliese was possessed by several demons, including Lucifer, Judas Iscariot, Nero, Cain, Hitler, and a disgraced Frankish priest from the 16th century. The exorcisms were conducted in absolute secrecy, with only Anneliese's family and the priests in attendance. During these exorcisms, Anneliese's reactions were nothing short of terrifying. She would scream, convulse, and speak in voices that were not her own. She would often recount graphic visions of demonic faces and hellish landscapes, leaving those in the room chilled to the bone. Her strength, too, seemed inhuman, often requiring multiple people to restrain her during the rituals. But it wasn't just the supernatural phenomena that were alarming. The physical and mental toll these exorcisms took on Anneliese was heart-wrenching. She lost a significant amount of weight, dropping to a mere 68 pounds. Her knees ruptured due to the 600 genuflections she performed obsessively during each session. Her body was a map of bruises, wounds, and blackened eyes. Mentally, Anneliese was in a constant state of terror and confusion. She was caught between her deeply ingrained Catholic beliefs and the horrifying reality of what she was experiencing. She believed she was possessed, and so she endured the exorcisms, clinging to the hope that they would eventually free her from her torment. Yet, with each passing session, Anneliese seemed to slip further away. Her health deteriorated rapidly, and she became increasingly disconnected from reality. Despite this, the exorcisms continued, driven by a desperate hope that faith could overcome the darkness consuming her. In the end, however, faith was not enough. The relentless efforts to free Anneliese from her perceived demonic possession tragically did not save her. On July 1976, Anneliese Michel to malnutrition and dehydration, her frail body finally giving in after months of physical and psychological torment. Despite the relentless efforts, Anneliese's torment tragically ended in her demise. This chilling tale of faith, fear, and the human spirit remains a haunting reminder of the dangers of blind belief and the limits of human endurance. What happened to Anneliese Michel raises many questions about faith, mental health, and the very nature of evil itself. It's a story that continues to haunt us and likely always will. In the aftermath of Anneliese's untimely death, a shocking truth began to unravel. The tragedy of Anneliese Michel's life didn't end with her demise. Instead, it opened a Pandora's box that echoed in the hallowed halls of justice. The court case that ensued was nothing short of a spectacle, a collision of faith and science that shook the world to its core. The prosecution presented evidence that painted a grim picture. They argued that Anneliese was not possessed, but rather a victim of misdiagnosed mental illness, possibly epilepsy or schizophrenia. Her symptoms, they said, were textbook cases of these conditions, and they berated the priests and Anneliese's parents for neglecting to seek proper medical care. Medical experts testified, brandishing records and research, arguing that Anneliese's symptoms could have been managed with the right medication. They argued that the exorcisms, instead of helping, might have exacerbated her condition. The court was presented with a narrative of ignorance and negligence, a tale of a young woman lost not to demons, but to the failing of those who should have protected her. However, the defense had a different story to tell. They argued that Anneliese was indeed possessed, a victim of a spiritual battle that transcended the understanding of science and medicine. They presented recordings of the exorcisms, the guttural voices, the unnatural strength, and the aversion to religious symbols. They pointed out that Anneliese was under psychiatric care and was prescribed medication, but to no avail. They painted a picture of a tormented soul, caught in a battle between the divine and the profane. The court case stirred controversy, with public opinion divided. Some saw it as a clear case of medical negligence, while others saw it as a testament to the existence of the supernatural. The verdict, when it came, was a compromise. Anneliese's parents and the priests were found guilty of negligent homicide and were sentenced to 6 months in prison, suspended with 3 years of probation. Anneliese Michel's story serves as a chilling reminder of the fine line between belief and reality, a line that, once crossed, can lead to unimaginable consequences. Her story, shrouded in mystery and controversy, continues to captivate the world. It challenges our understanding of the world, pushing the boundaries of what we believe and what we know. It asks us to question, to explore, to seek the truth that lies beneath the surface. Because the world is full of mysteries, and sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.